Do you live ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors on a Friday, June 6th edition of the program. A free-for-all Friday. We'll hop around. We got a lot to discuss. ECU baseball still wrapping up that season. Also, some ECU football talk we'll get in today. NBA Finals started last night. We can get into that discussion as well. Super Regional action starts later today. I believe Arizona and North Carolina getting ready to throw out the first pitch. And also, we have the demolition of a historic building. And the Baltimore Orioles swept the Seattle Mariners, which nobody cares about except for the two people on this desk. Bobby Harward is our guest today, our usual Friday guest. Bobby, how you doing?
Good. Happy to be back after the week off last week. I'm sure I'll have to knock off some rust here in the first segment. But, yeah, I meant to bring a broom in, but I completely forgot. And not that it matters because we're on the airwaves, but there is a stream that people watch sometimes. So, yeah, it was nice to see. Maybe the Orioles are back. Maybe the Mariners are on a downward trajectory. I think we'll get to discuss that a little bit later. But excited for the weekend of Super Regional Baseball.
Definitely a combination of both, I would say, but we'll get into that discussion. All right, Dominic Kasolke, he is producing today's show because Philip Pilkington is once again in wedding season. Dom, what's up, man?
Always wedding season for Philip.
It really is. I guess just all his friends are getting married now.
Yeah. Maybe bachelor parties as well, or I don't know how it goes. I don't know the terminology. I don't have my friends getting married just yet.
Okay. Well, you still got a few years. By the way, I sound like
I hear it.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to come fix that. I don't know. Maybe you could just unplug it and plug it back in.
Something's going on with my mic, so let's try to figure that out.
We do have a few comments while you're doing that.
Test. Is that any better?
No, it's not.
Here, let's share.
I'll switch out your mic during the break. I don't know why it's sounding like that.
It's all Dom's fault. He steps in as producer.
Of course.
Let us know in the comment section, how bad is it? Do I need to turn my mic off completely?
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
It's not good.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll share. We'll share. How about that? Nothing like passing a mic back and forth. Let's get extra close on this broadcast. So you've killed this mic, correct?
I have killed
Okay,
that
good.
mic, yeah.
I just didn't want to get feedback.
Nope.
All right. Man, figuring things out on the fly. This is live radio. So ECU baseball ends up going out in the Conway Regional, but I think showed pretty well. I would say salvaged the season for sure. Bobby Harward, we haven't gotten your take on it. I've talked plenty about it. So no shortage of drama between Kevin O'Sullivan, Cliff Godwin's tweet, and all that. So I'll let you take the mic and share your thoughts.
I appreciate it'd be easier if this wasn't connected to the mount here, but it is what it is. Thoughts on that, on last weekend's ECU's regional. Honestly, I'm thrilled from an ECU perspective. You know, in early May, we never thought that run was possible. Not only do you win the conference tournament, go into the regional, but then you make it to the regional finals. And really battled with Coastal Carolina. I thought this team battled the last two and a half weeks of the season, and it was just great to see. Nice. The frustrating part about it, I will add, is you kind of saw the potential of what we were hoping that this team would turn into at some point in time, and it just never occurred during the regular season. We always said those guys were talented, and you know, especially those freshmen like Burris. I mean, he was the consistent guy throughout the year, but then Austin Irby had a just heck of a weekend in the regionals there. In regards to the Kevin O'Sullivan drama, though, you know, that's just, here's my thing. I understand him being frustrated with the time change. I get that. The frustration probably warranted. The response, though, is what kind of did him in. Yeah, and again, everything I've read is he's not a good human being, and that kind of came to light there with all of that. I mean, let's be real. When baseball teams go to the regionals, it's like any baseball tournament growing up. There's going to be weather delays. There's going to be time pushbacks and adjustments. That's just part of that weekend. It just seems like it always rains at least 3 or 4 of the regionals and alters the times and the schedules. Again, understand the frustration. It was an 8 o'clock start, but at the night before, but still, maybe they should have thought about that the next day, but they may be bound to TV slots. And again, the biggest issue was his response and how he reacted to it. And it was so sweet just to kind of shove it right back to him and beat them twice in a row.
Yeah, I mean, I thought going in, ECU had a shot to win the first game. They did. And then, which, by the way, good job, Dom, fixing the microphone situation.
Quick fixes, man. That's why I'm here.
I think we're good now. People were saying it was a nails on a chalkboard situation.
It was bad. I was going to have to tell you eventually. I'm glad you noticed.
Yeah, I could feel something, more or less hear something was wrong. I thought they could beat Florida the first game with Norby going, but didn't see them coming back and just smashing Florida again, especially with Pierce Capolo on the mound. But look, man, they crushed them. And props ECU. They did the dirty work for Coastal too. Like, Coastal's really good, but they didn't even have to face Florida, which I think played a big role. And they face Auburn in the next round. So the totality of the season, look, some news coming out today. Henry Lartigue, hitting coach, has been let go. I've also confirmed that Eddie Losner, director of baseball operations, has parted from the program. I think that was more of a mutual parting. So you've got some openings there. I asked Cliff Godwin after the game, Bobby, about how do you balance this run, obviously great, and, you've been able to hold on to some players. We talked about it yesterday, but Austin Irby's been courted by SEC teams. I know Ethan Norby as well. Those guys are planning on staying. But, like, the totality of the season still wasn't what you want. So, the biggest thing and we'll get a bigger, answer from Cliff Godwin in the weeks to come, but how does he balance what they were able to accomplish versus where they came short during the regular season?
To my honest opinion is that it doesn't change a thing. I think, other than maybe a feel-good ending to the season of sorts compared to what the trajectory was. But in terms of who you're attacking in the portal, what positions you're trying to bring in, those sort of things, I don't think it changes a bit. I mean, we knew all season Irby was talented. It was a matter of it clicking, and it finally clicked. He knows who those core guys are, and I'll give credit to him here. I've been a little bit critical or questioning his philosophy with recruiting, in the sense that it was very clear these freshmen were talented, but after that first season, it's a lot different retaining a guy when they get a blank check from an SEC school, kind of like what we've seen here. Not necessarily saying it was blank, but when you have those schools courting you, it's hard as a young kid to turn that down because it's the top level of competition. And he's found a way to retain them. And credit to Club 23 and those who've donated. Credit to Garrett Blackweller, who looks like he's stepping up again with baseball, which is phenomenal. And but to me, other than the feel-good ending and maybe some buzz heading into recruiting, that it doesn't change much from a roster perspective.
So Cliff Godwin tweeted yesterday about tampering, saying that Power 4 schools have directly messaged his players, which I've seen screenshots of said messages. I can confirm that. Where do you come down on the notion that Cliff Godwin should call out these schools by name? Because, you kind of do, if you get on that path, you risk some blowback or whatever. But I understand people saying, why mention this if you're not going to show the proof, so to speak.
I think he's trying to just make it known. I will say this, because I know you and Philip had this discussion a little bit yesterday. My thought is somebody in Cliff's shoes has the reputation and has built his career up enough and has enough of a leg to stand on that he could release the information. Now, the flip side of that, you're tarnishing somebody's career, and so there's some questions there. But to me, it's a different scenario than if a younger, new up-and-coming coach was going to release that information, because then their career is done in that profession. I think Cliff has a leg to stand on and could release it. You would like to think things wouldn't need to be handled out in public, but the bottom line, the issue lies in the hands of the NCAA, and they're not handling it, and that's what's frustrating. You guys mentioned yesterday, this happens in football, and it's happened here the last few years with SEC schools. It blows my mind to think about that these schools are going to the extent of getting a burner phone and purchasing a burner phone to use to recruit student athletes. That's a big part of what gives me like, hey, I kind of hope he releases it, because they're going through all these hoops to try to keep it hidden.
It is pretty startling, but that's just the way it is. And like we'll close on this for this topic, but like I know Michael Irby's in the portal, and LSU, from what I heard, sent something to Michael Irby, basically saying, "Hey, send this to Austin Irby," and then they just went around and reached out to Austin directly through a burner phone. So it's just like,
it's crazy.
I mean, it's just, come on, man, like just whatever. Anyways, so Jonathan, again, it is a free for all Friday. So anything you guys want to drop in the chat, we'll get to it. And we'll also hit on some other things as well. But Jonathan Wagner says, do y'all think I can get Phillip to drive for our DC day trip next weekend? I'm lazy. Wags, I have driven with you, although I think Scott Lorbatcher drove us to DC last year. So I don't know what your driving skills are like. I don't know what Phillip's driving skills are like. Dom, have you ever driven or ridden in a car with Phillip driving?
Yeah, actually, shout out to him. He's actually a really good driver. I mean, he drove all the way to Baltimore to watch an Orioles-Red Sox game, and we're both repping our teams right now. We watched them last year in Baltimore, and that was a long drive, and he didn't make me drive at all. I was falling asleep on the way back, so thank God he didn't ask me to drive.
So you're saying that you trust Phillip? I
trust him, but he has traveled for probably like 5 weekends straight now. I don't know how much he's going to want to be driving. He's going to be exhausted. And next week is Big Rock Week. A lot of early mornings for me and Phillip.
Wag says Nats versus Connor Norby. I would trust Phillip with my life. So look, Phillip is a team guy. I'm going to say he's taking the wheel here. He may be tired, but if you asked him to take the wheel, I'd be surprised if he didn't. So
I agree.
I think you got to leave it in Phillip's hand, and hopefully we'll see you on the other side, Wags. Cameron says, what kind of sacrifice did Tyrese Halliburton make this past month? It should not be possible to hit this many clutch shots. So, Dom, you were calling the Tarboro River Bandits game last night, but we both saw the end of the game one of the finals.
Yeah.
And the Thunder, once again, were in control, leading a Pacers team that has now come back from 5 15-point deficits in the playoffs alone. Halliburton hits the go-ahead jumper with 0.3 seconds remaining. And this Pacers team starting to seem like a team of destiny, man.
It's crazy to think that they do this so many times throughout this one postseason, and Halliburton has had like 4 signature clutch shots in one postseason. And a lot of people think playing the Thunder now, you're playing one of the best, if not the best defense in the league, that they're not going to be able to make those comebacks late in the game. But they were able to keep themselves within the game throughout the 21st half turnovers, which is crazy to think about, being in a game when OKC loves blowing teams out. Don't see the Thunder in that many close games. And when they are, they usually close them out well because they hit their free throws. So you didn't think it was going to happen. A lot of things went right for the Pacers in those comebacks where a lot of missed free throws happened and they collect on their opportunities, and they ended up playing good enough defense, getting enough chances and making their big shots. And Halliburton got the ball in his hands for the last shot, and that's what you want right now if you're Halliburton and if you're a Pacers fan or you hate watching the Thunder like I am. So I love what I'm seeing, and Halliburton just has that clutch gene.
Halliburton voted the most overrated player in the NBA by his peers earlier this season. Now he is crushing everybody in the playoffs. Look, he's not good defensively, and so I get it. He probably struggles on that end of the court, but you can't doubt the clutchness with which he is coming through. And so wanted to talk some NBA. If you guys want to talk any more NBA, let us know. By the way, Super Regional action underway, guys. Arizona already out to a 1-0 lead over the Tar Heels as that game has gotten underway.
Boo.
Wait. You pulling for the Tar Heels?
Maybe.
We're going to have to kick you off the show now. You're going to have to take the infected microphone, Dom.
Well, you want to kick me off for sending you Pump It Up last night, too.
That is true.
I get 2 X's. I got one more chance.
Yeah, you got 2
Were you
strikes.
giving him a hype talk?
So he was at the River Bandits game, and they sent the that Pump It Up song. You
Yeah,
gotta pump it up.
up.
The song that I hate the most, and they
Yeah.
always send it to me in the group chat. So.
Yeah, it was played. It gets played every night in Tarboro whenever we have a lead. So
It's the worst song of all time.
Well, it pumps everybody up, and I got to make sure you're there to listen.
We'll get a break in when we come back. We haven't really talked about the ECU football schedule, game times being released, and the fact that the season opener is on the ACC network and not ESPN, which I want to get into. And the Vegas win total, 6.5. Do we feel like that's a good number for East Carolina football? We'll bring that up on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors on a Free-for-All Friday.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Are you ready to tackle those yard and garden projects? Come by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your local Coyote dealer, and check out their great selection of residential and commercial Coyote tractors. From zero-turn mowers to compact tractors to skid steer loaders, they've got you covered. Some with 0% financing for qualified buyers. Stop by your hometown Coyote dealer, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, across from the Pitt County Fairgrounds, or online at ectfleet.com. East Carolina Tractor and Fleet. We dig dirt.
Tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
At Parker's Barbecue, our family has been serving your family for 3 generations.
For that, we say thank you.
Blessing families every Thursday. Kids eat free all day. That's the Parker's way.
Legendary food served from our 3 locations. Always quick, always delicious. That's the Parker's way.
At Parker's, our mission is to impact our customers through Christ-like service in a way that feeds them both physically and spiritually. That is the Parker's way.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Get ready to board.
We're live with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game. Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, we're all aboard the ship here on a Friday, June 6th. I gotta say, Bobby Harward in studio, Dom producing today, filling in for Philip Bookinen. The rejoiners and the AI-generated female voice, it's growing on me.
They're much better than what they started.
No more filling ear holes. You know?
It had caught. The reason I was chuckling is it had caught me off guard when they said "come aboard" or "jump aboard" or whatever it said. Was not anticipating that kind of as the leader in here.
All right. ECU football. We've been talking some football. We will keep this show going through June. We'll take most of July, if not all of July, off for return in August. We're getting into some football talk now. And we've had our first 2 opponent previews, NC State and Campbell. We'll have Coastal Carolina next week. But the game times for 6 of the 12 games are out, including the first 3 weeks. This came out a few weeks ago, but I think it came out going into the regional or the conference tournament championship game. I can't remember. Either way, we didn't have time to talk about it, so I just thought it'd be worth talking about now. And also what's come out is the Vegas win total of 6.5, which I think is dead on the money what it should be with ECU. But we'll start with the game times. NC State, the season opener, is a 7 o'clock kickoff on ACC Network. First off there, Bobby, not surprised it's on ACC Network, but a little disappointed that we couldn't get an ESPN game. And apparently there's no ESPN2 broadcast on Thursday nights to open the college football season. Not sure why.
That's what I was looking at. When we got ACC Network, I was like, okay, Boise State's on ESPN. I get that. They're coming off a tremendous year. Recently, a lot of people around the country know Boise State, don't know East Carolina as much. But so then I was looking, where's the ESPN2 game? And I saw there's no ESPN2. So I guess it makes sense that it's on ACC Network. But at the same time, I guess I go one of two ways here. At the same, you wish you could play ACC Network on a Saturday. So why not just keep it on the Saturday? But if you're going to have a Thursday night game, granted, we end up having two later on, but having it the first week of the season, you start your camp a little bit earlier. You're not thrown off by days coming off a game the week on the Saturday before. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think Duke plays, either Duke or Wake plays an FCC school at night on ACC Network Extra. So this is the same. Looks like Duke, right?
Yeah, Duke Elon.
Okay, so
tickets as low as $16.
You gonna make the trip to Wallace Wade?
I will not.
So, I mean, you'll still have a decent amount of eyeballs because there's really not that many good games. I mean, even Boise, USF, and then the 9 o'clock game, Cincinnati and Nebraska, there will be a lull between those two games. I would assume if ECU and NC State's a pretty tight contest, people will flip over to the ACC Network because most of the games are like FCS versus FBS, right?
Yeah, majority of them. Looking at it as I'm scrolling through here. I mean, you got Rutgers, Ohio, but nobody really cares about that, especially here. Akron, Wyoming, which stinks. Minnesota, Buffalo, and Wisconsin, Miami at 9. Yeah, nothing else. I mean, it's a really dud of a Thursday night.
Pretty crappy. I mean, honestly, if you had to rank them, NC State, ECU would at least be top 3 with USF, Boise, and Cincinnati, Nebraska. So, I mean, I think you'll still get some eyeballs. The second weekend of the season, you'll have the Campbell game, 6 o'clock on ESPN+. I think that's the preferred start time for ECU at this point in the season, so that's a game time they got to pick. At Coastal Carolina, Saturday, September 13th. That'll be a 7:30 local kickoff. I'm not thrilled about this game time as a media member. I don't know how you guys feel about it as fans, but that means that game is not going to get over till at least 11, and then I'm probably going to have to stay the night once again in the Myrtle Beach area, which I just did. And I walked over to the stadium, and there's nothing but gravel right now. I guess they're getting new turf. It's just like a high school stadium with a gravel lot. It really gave off a small-time football feel, unlike the baseball stadium. So, I don't know. Any thoughts on a 7:30 kickoff for at Coastal? Are you going to that game?
To be determined. We're trying to figure that out. I think I mentioned to you we're not getting season tickets this year, just the way our family dynamic works. Taking 3 kids into a game every weekend is not ideal. And you add to it the cost, which I don't know if I want to get started on the rant about the cost of sections going up and the ridiculous donation prices increase with the Pirate Club, but we'll leave that for another day.
We'll save that for later in June when we have no time.
I'm shocked at 7:30. Why not 6 o'clock again? I get wanting to play night, and I like from
7:30 is just too late for an ESPN Plus game.
Right. If it was a television game, like a nationally broadcasted game or on a cable network, that would make more sense. But on a streaming platform like ESPN Plus, really don't get it unless that's Coastal's preferred time.
It's got to be, I think.
But here, if you're going to the game and you're making a weekend out of it, you can now play a round of golf in the morning and then go tailgate. And then, which probably playing a round of golf is a bit of your tailgating. You're kind of starting that process of a few beverages while on the course. But that gives you the opportunity to do so, play around in Myrtle Beach, and then go to the stadium and tailgate.
So that one will be a late one, and there will be several other late ones because 3 straight Thursday night games mid-season. September 25th against Army, that'll be an ESPN game on Thursday, September 25th, 7:30 kickoff. You've got the Tulane game either at 7:30 or 8 o'clock at Tulane on October 9th, either at ESPN or ESPN2 broadcast. And then you've got the Tulsa game on Thursday, October 16th, which will be a 7:30 kickoff on that night on ESPN. So that will be the night of the Boneyard game. The Army game is Military Appreciation Day, and then, Tulane is on the road, obviously. So as we expected, those 3 game times announced. So you have 6 of 12 game times, as Cameron points out. Not having a noon game yet is awesome. We will not know the game time of the BYU game, it looks like, until the 12-day window. So interested to see. I mean, that's got to be an ESPN or ESPN2, I would think, if BYU is top 20 preseason.
100%. I would argue they may put that in an earlier slot and have that like a –
which may play to ECU's advantage, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I think them traveling east, you want it as hot and early as possible.
Yeah, and thankfully – from ECU standpoint and guys on the field, a big part of preseason camp, obviously you're installing all your scheme and all that kind of stuff and putting that in, but you want to get the guys acclimated to the heat going into the season. Well, they don't have to worry about that because, 6 of their first 7 guaranteed are to be at night. And from a tailgating and a fan perspective, it's as good as it can get.
So there are your 6 game times out of 12. So you already know half of the game times, and again, the others will be announced on a 12-day window at the most. There's a chance that all of them could be flexed to a 6-day.
I will add one more thing about the BYU potentially. I don't know. It depends. I would love College Game Day to be here for it, but that's a long shot. I will say I'd probably, from just thinking of it logistics standpoint, at least somewhat of an earlier start time. Because if they get slammed with one of those noon games or whatever in the back 5 of the season, that games that haven't been announced, you would like them to at least have one run through of waking up early at the hotel and going through that rather than staying the whole day at the hotel and that sort of thing. So even like a 2 o'clock or 3:30 start time, probably more 3:30 if it's on one of the cable networks, would be my preference.
So Vegas has released a win total 6.5 for East Carolina over under, and we'll have a show later this month where we look at all the win totals across the American. But I think it's a pretty fair win total. The schedule this year is much tougher. You just run through it, and Campbell, you would say, is a win. I would say NC State. I would favor ECU at Coastal, but I still think that's a toss-up game. You're playing on the road. BYU, you're going to be underdog. Army on a Thursday night home, that's at best a toss-up. Tulane's a tough game. Tulsa, I would say at home, you're going to be favored there. At Temple, you'll probably be favored. Charlotte, it does lighten up after the first half, but it is not an easy schedule. So, 6.5, where do you feel? Do you think that's a pretty accurate number?
Yeah, again, Vegas hit the number right on the head there. Looking at the way that if you can make it through the first 6 games at 3-3 or maybe a 4-2, I feel good about it. But even when you go into the latter half, Tulsa's not going to be world beaters, but I'm intrigued to see what Trey Lamb brings to Greenville, and with him now being the head coach at Tulsa. So I think they will at least be a little bit more competitive. The guy from Sam Houston State is now at Temple. Yep. Then you got, is it Albine or whatever from Ohio that's now at Charlotte?
Yes. Scott Albin.
That's 3 great hires in conference, so I think those teams will be improved. I will say, from just looking at the conference perspective, Memphis and UTSA on the road are the 2 I don't feel good about. Memphis at home, UTSA on the road. UTSA never loses in the Alamo Dome. So I'm kind of chalking that up in the law. I see it. I see 5.
And FAU's tricky too.
Yeah, on the road. Who did they hire? They hired somebody.
They hired an offensive mind
from Texas Tech, the OC. Yep. He was 20-something years old, didn't they?
Yeah, and they brought in some significant transfers, which they did the same thing last year into Herman. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying FAU stock. It is Zach Kitley who they hired as head coach, who was previously the OC at Texas Tech, Western Kentucky, Houston Baptist. So they'll score a lot of points. Who knows if they can stop anybody?
Yeah.
Dom, what do you think? 6.5 over under? Or you feel like that's a pretty good number?
I mean, I think it's a good number.
Yeah.
Vegas usually knows what they're talking about. But after looking at the schedule, I feel like it's going to come down to those first couple games, like you mentioned, the tough part of the schedule. But I think they can get to 8 wins is my prediction if we're going to give out a prediction. I know you guys will probably have a whole nother show when Philip's on here.
Yeah.
So, but my prediction would be 8 wins. But I do think that state game is going to be really important for a momentum factor as well as getting the team ready for BYU and bigger games in the future and in conference. If you can beat State like you did in the bowl game and then go back and beat them week 1, then you feel like you're on top of the world.
I got to agree. I was texting a friend of the show this morning, and look, I mean, he's always optimistic. He was saying ECU will be ranked by week 4. I think if ECU beats NC State in the season opener, we're looking at a special season. I'm going to predict ECU to lose that game. But I think if ECU beats State, they're going to start the season 3-0, and then the place is going to be absolutely a madhouse for BYU.
Yep.
But if you lose the State game, I could also see it just like, I don't want to say coming unglued, but like then the Coastal Carolina game is a huge swing game. So I don't know. I feel like either way, I like the schedule because there's opportunity there, Bobby. Like opportunity to make some statements, and we're not just playing a bunch of chopped liver.
That's my thing. We're not playing chop liver. It's a competitive schedule. It's a respectable schedule, unlike the one we saw last year. A lot's going to be relying on how does this defense perform. I know we've talked about it the few times we've discussed football here in the spring, but that's the big question mark. I think this offense is going to be as fun and exciting as we've seen in some time here, and it's going to be a lot of excitement. Here's my thing. Somebody you mentioned said they'll be ranked week 4, but the national perspective of NC State is not very high, is it?
You'd have to beat BYU.
So it'd have to be after week 4,
I think is what
which
they
I
meant,
could see happen. Yeah, for sure. If we beat BYU, and then Army,
and then you have Army on a short week, which is just a disaster waiting to happen.
Yes, from the scheme perspective. But here's my thing: they'll be implementing a new quarterback, and so much with that offense relies on the quarterback play. And that's why, honestly, you'd probably like to have them a week or 2 earlier so they're still kind of getting used to it. But we still have them in the front half of the schedule. Don't get me wrong. Respect the heck out of Monken, and I think he's a phenomenal coach. And they're going to be ready to play, and it's going to be a dogfight. I feel a lot better about that game than I did last year when they had that quarterback that was just trucking everybody and just a dude.
All right, we'll get a break, and we'll have more football talk throughout the month to come. And North Carolina, Dom, you'll be happy about this, has already scored 5 runs unanswered in the first, so they now lead 5-1. So Hunter Stokely hit a 3-run jack, and they are now up 5-1 over Arizona. We'll get a break in. We'll come back. We'll talk baseball next, MLB, Super Regionals. Bobby's got to gloat about his Orioles. Are the Baltimore Orioles back after sweeping the Seattle Mariners? We'll discuss that. We'll look around Super Regional play and more. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hey, it's Jim Wells again with Wells Roofing and Gutters here in the beautiful community of Lindale, Bedford. At Wells Roofing and Gutters, we believe in quality first, and that's why we use Certainty shingles, which are manufactured in Oxford, North Carolina, a local company. In the event you ever do have a claim or a problem with your roof system, they're local and they come and take care of us in a timely manner. We could leave off some accessories and we could certainly save money, but we believe at Wells Roofing and Gutters in installing the correct way per manufacturer requirements, and we warranty your roof both in-house and also with our supplier who is Certainteed. For a job well done, no shortcuts taken, and a good quality job on your home, give us a call today, 252-227-8403. We also offer financing, 12 months, no interest, no payments.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Remember, get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
Got it. You don't have to tell me twice. I remember it exactly.
Stephen Igo and Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a free-for-all Friday. Anything you guys want to drop in the chat, do that, and we'll get to it. I do want to read Cameron's comments. We were talking football. He was echoing Bobby's sentiments. I think that 6-win total all depends on how well our defense can play. There's a lot of unknowns about this defense that we won't find out until we play the first game. I agree. So we'll see. A lot of intrigue, a lot of interest entering this football season. We'll continue to break that down. All right, MLB check-in. We had the Orioles-Mariners series, long awaited for me and Bobby. And the Mariners got swept by the 2025 Baltimore Orioles, who entered the series with one of the worst run differentials in baseball. But there's still, I was watching I couldn't watch because Masson, But I was looking at the box score. This is still mostly the same Orioles team that has been nasty for a while. So, I'm not as dejected as I should be getting swept by a bad team on paper, Bobby. But are the O's, are they on the way back?
I hope they are.
Yeah.
If anything else, I hope they are. Yeah, so there's a podcast I listened to. It's like Baltimore Banner, and it's about the Orioles or whatever. But they did a really inside baseball style podcast on the hitting philosophy of the Orioles and within the organization, because was what was under a lot of fire. We kind of knew the rotation was going to suck, hoping the bats would carry them, and the bats were just horrendous to start the year. And just a few takeaways from that, just because baseball is weird and baseball. They mentioned, it's going to look like when the new interim manager comes and when they hit their win streak, which looks like they're in now, it's going to look like he's, saving the world. But in reality, it's just baseball evening itself out. And so not as much as what he's done. And then it went into detail about Adley Rutschman specifically, which I wore my Adley shirt today because he is what appears to be back. And it talked about from all his numbers, underlying
exit velo,
line drive, all that kind of stuff, just all those high level baseball analytic numbers that they look at. He's fairly high and well off in all of those statistics, and a lot of it can be labeled bad luck or whatever, and it was just a matter of time before he found grass, and his at-bats were even, I think statistically, his at-bats, he had higher number of quality at-bats than he did in previous seasons, and it looks like he's, unfortunately for the Mariners, he's finally found that against y'all.
So the O's have won 6 in a row. Now they are still 11 games under 500. We were having this discussion, are they too far back now? I mean, there's still 100 games left, but they are 13 out of the division, 7.5 out of the wild card. We'll get Dom's take on his Red Sox here in a minute, but is there a way they And there's definitely a way, but like, what's your belief that they can get back into the mix for a playoff spot?
Well, we were texting Tuesday night before the series started, and I still feel this way, that this is a massive series in the direction that this team heads for the remainder of the year. I say that because they were playing so well, and then they're heading completely across the country, taking what was the first-place Mariners, and then the Athletics, who are faltering of late. But the way this Orioles team has played is they would go into Sacramento and lose 2 of 3. If they go and get swept by the Athletics, then, yeah, I'm back. I just think this is a lost season, and this team is who it is. If we can take 2 or 3 from the Athletics and then come back home and play Detroit and Los Angeles, the Angels, before playing some AL East teams, I feel a lot better. I think you probably want to get that number to 5 games back of the wild card, maybe 4.5 by the end of June, to feel like, if you're Mike Elias, that you can go for it at the trade deadline. My other hesitancy is, all right, how much does Mike Elias feel like he should go for it at the deadline? And does he trade for a Zach Gallen? Does he trade for another a Sandy Alcantara or something like that? Because this team needs arms if they're going to go on a run. And does he feel comfortable enough giving up the prospects to do that?
So just above the Orioles in the standings are the Boston Red Sox. Dom, a big Red Sox guy. The Red Sox are 3-7 in their last 10. Still a positive run differential, but where are you at in the Sox right now, Dom?
Oh, extremely disappointing season. You add an ace in Crochet. You had a near 1,000 OPS player in Alex Bregman. He replaces Devers at third base, so you get better defensively. And then you add Chapman, who's been one of the best closers in the league this year, only 1 blown save. So it doesn't make sense why you're at the same mediocrity point at this part of the season. Last 3 years, you're at basically the same record of a couple games below 500, right at 500. So it's really depressing to see when you add that much and you're not doing anything with it. But there's a lot of game left. You said 100 games left in the season. Your next 9 games are against divisional opponents. You got 6 against the Yankees and 3 against the Rays. So you're able to, go 6 out of 9 there, and you're I guess happy about it. You're at least moving up in the standings, and you're getting some divisional wins. I still have faith. Maybe it's blind faith, but it's been very disappointing.
Here's my question for you, Dom.
Okay.
They have a plus 13 run differential, which is a positive run differential for a 30-34 team. Are they just losing close winning close and losing big? Like what?
No, winning big and losing close. Actually, the opposite. We're 6-17 in 1-run games, which is insane. So the clutch factor is not there right now. It's more. Other than Chapman trying to get you a save, we've had so many times where we're tied and Chapman keeps it tied. We go to extras, and we're one of the worst teams in extras. So a lot of 1-run losses where they get the run home and we can't even bring a runner from second around. And then we'll blow out a couple. We have a couple blowouts. We beat the Cardinals by 13. We had another win by 5th. We had a massive win where we had a 13-run inning. I think it might have been. I don't know if it was against the Orioles. I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
They did crush the Orioles.
Yeah, I think that was the one where we had a 13-run 6th inning after it was 2-1 for most of the game. So a couple big wins, but a lot of 1-run losses. So it easily could be different, and it should be with what you added. So that's where we're at right now.
So the Yankees leading the AL East 38-23 right now. The Rays and Blue Jays are 4 games over 500, 5.5 back in the Yankees. The Detroit Tigers still leading the AL, weird as that is to say. They're 41-23. The Twins have been playing good ball. The Guardians playing solid as well. Gavin Williams having a good year, 5-3 with a 3.79 ERA, 66 strikeouts in 59 innings. Still want to get those walks down, but he's been good. The Royals, 3 games over 500. The White Sox are the White Sox, although slightly better. In the AL West, the Astros have retaken the lead by a game and a half over the Mariners. The rest of the division is not good. In the NL, the Mets are hot, as are the Phillies. They're leading the NL East. The Braves continue to struggle after a brief surge. The Cubs are killing it, 39-23. The Cardinals are having a good season as well, 34-20. Alec Burleson, guys, is now hitting .290 and he's got his home run total up to 5. So after a slower start, he is turning it on. And then in the NL West, the Dodgers, no surprise, leading that division, 2 games up on the Padres, 3 games up on the Giants. The Rockies only 22.5 out, but they did just sweep the Marlins.
Which is crazy. I saw they
Poor Clayton McCullough.
I saw they clapped back against the Scotty Scheffler tweet that came out. They weren't too happy, I guess.
Yeah, enough's enough. They had to win a few games in a row.
Took a game over the Tigers, too.
That is true. So, look, the Rockies are on a roll. Scott Lorbatcher, who's a Reds fan, said we don't have to talk about MLB. To be honest, we don't even have to acknowledge its existence. And then he asked, who are our favorite all-time Oriole Mariners Immaculate Grid players? I can tell you who my least favorite is of all time is Adam Jones. The Mariners traded him in quite possibly the worst trade of all time for Eric Bedard and 4 other players. Excuse me, Adam Jones and 4 other players for Eric Bedard. And Adam Jones was a beast for Baltimore. And every time he played the Mariners, it seemed like he was doubling down the line or robbing a home run or something. So, I don't know, any Mariners-Orioles crossovers come to mind. It's kind of a weird mix.
It is a weird mix. I remember Eric Bedard because we had
Bedard, what a bum.
We had a somewhat of a connection, a good friend, family friend of ours, coached volleyball at Mississippi State. He pitched at Mississippi State during that time, so they knew each other and tried to get us up to Baltimore, but it didn't work out. So I do remember him. Didn't J.J. Hardy, did he play for the Mariners or no?
I think he may have signed a minor league contract, but I don't know if he ever played. So I'm looking. So 2 ECU alums, Mike Wright and Sean Armstrong, both played for the Orioles and the Mariners, although both of their times with the Mariners were incredibly brief. And Adam Frazier.
Frazier is who I'm thinking of. Yeah, I was thinking of a short white a middle infielder, so that's Adam Frazier.
Danny Valencia. This is a terrible list. Danny Valencia, Joe Saunders, Wade Miley, Mark Trumbo. So you got some randos here, but it is not a good list. If you're looking for Immaculate Grid players and obscure ones, Mariners Orioles might be the way to go. So we'll get a final break in. We'll come back. We'll talk Super Regional. Again, the action underway across the country. We'll hit on any other final topics as well. We got to discuss Scales Fieldhouse and maybe share a few thoughts on that building before it gets knocked to the ground from Bobby. We'll do that. This is Hoisted Colors, final segment on the way.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available. Call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
If you are interested in living longer and living stronger, Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine is accepting new patients for a limited time. Finding a caring physician can be a challenge. Dr. Billy Smith is board certified in physical medicine and lifestyle medicine and has been practicing in the area for many years. Call for an appointment now to Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine, 252-364-1108 in Greenville. That number again is 252-364-1108.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
The Pirates play here. Arr! This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igo. Yes! That was so good! On 94.3, The Game.
Welcome back in. Final segment here of Hoist the Colors on a Friday. Super regional action is underway. We'll discuss that in a minute. We did have a question or two, as by the way, UNC now up 8-1 over Arizona. Johnny Robertson says, "Is Austin Irby still expected to join the Charlottesville Tom Sox?" Johnny, if he's listed on the roster, I would assume so. He may be. Some of those guys take like a week of downtime before playing summer ball if they played a big role. So I'll try to get clarification on that. Scott Lorbatcher mentions Nelson Cruz as a Mariner-Oriole crossover. Yeah, he's probably the best one. So good call out there. All right, Scales Fieldhouse. If you're unfamiliar with the athletics campus at ECU, this probably should have happened at least 15 years ago. Bobby, did you ever spend any time in Scales during your time as a ECU staff member for the football team?
Very briefly.
Yeah.
I mean, just to walk in and out to grab something I know we had to go in there. Coach O used to be stationed in there. That was where his office was at least while I was on staff, and we had to go in there, and it just, is way too old. Kind of, I mentioned to you, felt like you were what is the word I'm looking for? But essentially contracting asbestos as you were walking through there. But glad they're finally taking it down. And I know, at least from the university standpoint, I know that building has a lot of history in it. You would hope going forward, it sounds like, I don't know what they'll do with that land, but to me, it is a prime opportunity to expand and add on to Ward and have a much improved football facility that should have been included with the Town Bank Tower if our athletic director had some foresight and vision at the time. But unfortunately, as we saw, he did not build that football-only facility within the Town Bank Tower. And so hopefully they can expand into Ward and kind of, I know there's a big walkway right now, but you can always adjust that and maneuver, and maybe they can add on at some point in time and create a football-only space.
That would be the next step, I think, on the facility's footprint, is to have a true football-only building. It says on ECUPirates.com, in the aftermath of the building's removal, in the immediate aftermath, the plan is for the construction of a green space in the footprint of the current building. Plans are being finalized to recognize the Scales family appropriately on the site. So, yeah, basically we're going to turn it into grass until we know what else to build is how I read that for Scales. And I think that's the right move, because you got to finish up all these current projects and then got to finish up all these current projects and then move on to that. Scott comments, confirmed Bobby has mesothelioma.
I sure hope not.
Let's hope not. So I do know that a lot of people who have worked in that building have complained about that very thing. Like, seriously. So, it's an old building and needed to happen. Although definitely, anytime it's an historic building, that means it needs to go.
I mean, it was like the original football locker room, wasn't it?
Yes, I think so. It's been there a long time. All right, super regional action is underway. UNC leads Arizona 8-1 after falling behind 1-0. They've responded in a big way. Other action today, 3 o'clock Miami at Louisville. Florida State is at Oregon State at 6, and then 9 o'clock Coastal at Auburn. So Oregon State is playing at 3 o'clock local, and Auburn and Coastal are playing at 8 o'clock local. So
made sense.
This is TV. Then Saturday, as we go further into the weekend, you'll have Murray State at Duke at their Joke-of-a Stadium hosting the Super Regional. West Virginia is at LSU. Tennessee at Arkansas, which should be a phenomenal series, and then UTSA at UCLA. So what's capturing your attention here, Bobby?
Yeah, I think Auburn Coastal is one of those matchups that I'm intrigued to see how far Coastal can go. Always like to see Tennessee, Arkansas, just those two SEC teams battle, and then Oregon State, Florida State. I want to tune into UTSA, UCLA, but I will be so angry if the Roadrunners make it to Omaha before the Pirates.
I'm very conflicted on that. I said earlier this week, but I think it would be great for the sport because UTSA, I'm tired of just watching ACC and SEC. Although the good news is, even if UCLA wins, it'll be a different conference, but it's still UCLA. So
which that kept tripping me up in the regionals is the former Pac-12 teams that are now in the Big Ten and the Big 12 being in the same regional.
It is very odd. But I'm honestly, as much as it hurts, I think I'm pulling for UTSA and Coastal. I'm definitely pulling for Murray State. No disrespect to Duke. I hope that the Duke being expected to win feeling comes back to bite them because they're going to have some pressure on them first time hosting. Everybody's picking them to beat Murray State. I just don't know if Murray State has enough. But I think you'll have Zach Root pitching for Arkansas. You'll have Bristol Carter playing for Auburn, although he hasn't been starting lately. So you got a couple former Pirates. I don't know if anybody's pulling for them, but there's some intriguing matchups, but also not the most intriguing.
Well, I'll say this about Murray State. They beat Ole Miss twice. It wasn't just they beat them twice, and then they also Ole Miss had to win on a walk-off hit in the regular season when they played. So I think they're a good team.
They can hit. There's no doubt about it. So enjoy the baseball weekend, guys, and have some fun as well as Pirate Sports over for the first time in quite some time until August rolls around. Don, appreciate you behind the scenes. Bobby,
yes,
good
sir.
stuff today. I also want to shout out Basil's for sponsoring today's program. Check them out over by the AMC movie theater. Lunch, dinner, they've got you covered. We'll be back Monday, 12 noon. We'll see you then on Hoist the Colors.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Get a recap of this show at 943thegame.com and on your IBX Media app, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Tune in weekdays at noon to get your ECU sports fix with Stephen Igo and Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Colors!